Hello and welcome. So this is Differentials 101, and I'm going to try to be concise yet detailed at the same time, so we'll see how this works out. The front differential is going to be heavily responsible for steering. It is going to affect traction, but mainly steering. The center differential is going to affect mainly the front and rear power balance or power transfer. The rear differential is going to greatly affect traction as well as steering. It will affect steering, but traction is a big component. And that is the purpose behind them. Now, you have to select the types of oils, or if you're going to run spools, for example. Quick little overview. Let's say this is the setup. So if you have a spool here and a spool here, so this is locked, you want to go with thin oil in the rear. And the reason why is if this tire comes off, so you're turning left now, this tire comes off, there will always be power to the front. So the front is going to pull you. Even though this one won't have power, and you can try this on a vehicle. If you have a vehicle that has a spool here and a spool there, and just a differential in the rear, lift this tire, put this one, hold this one with your hand and spin this one, and you will see that these two will spin as well. So this is great for those instances. Actually, I prefer this for almost all applications. Unless you had, except for a real car, because real cars are so heavy and the difference between the outer and the inner tire is so big that you will actually end up breaking the front axle. That's the reason why you would need differentials on a big vehicle. Unless you're outlanding, right? Then you can have a locker in the front and then just lock it when you need it, unlock it when you don't. But that's a different story. We're talking about RCs here. Now, if you have this one locked, so let's just say there's no differential in the center. You only have differential in the rear, differential in the front. Again, I would recommend a light oil in the rear. You can go, let's say you have a vehicle that's about at least, 2,500 grams, right? 3 kilos, 4 kilos, right? Anything, 8 pounds, 9 pounds, whatever it is. Light oil in the rear is good. Maybe 7,000, 10,000. Try it out, see how it works, but then go thick oil in the front. Thick oil in the front, you can go 80,000. You can go 1,000,000. I mean, go 1,000,000. Why not? And the reason why is one of the things that happens to my Revo. I'm planning on swapping the oil here. I've done it on almost all of my other vehicles except for that one. When the two inner tires come off the ground, then it slows down, but it's controllable. So it's fine. But if you go thicker oil, this tire will now start pulling your car. And then if you go thinner over here, it will prevent the rear from kind of sliding out as you're taking turns. So it makes it more controllable. If you have all three differentials, it will really depend on the situation and what's going on. If your vehicle wheelies too much, well, don't give it too much throttle. That's number one. But the other thing you can do is if it wheelies too much, go with lighter oil. That way the front can unload a little. But if you start noticing temperatures go up, then you want to go thicker oil. If you get to the point where if you go thinner, it'll cook it. If you go heavier, you're just going to be doing backflips. Then you just need to slow down. It's too much power for your vehicle. That's just it. There's no way around it. If the rear is sliding out a lot, go with thinner oil. If the rear is unloading, one of these tires is unloading too much, you can actually go with thicker on the differential. or you can go with slightly thicker here in the rear. So this is where you have to analyze and see what's going on. So for example, if this one's unloading too much, but it's not kicking out, but the vehicle is not wheeling too much and not really cooking the oil, so say this one is right in the sweet spot, go with thicker oil here. But if you can bump up the oil for the center, and leave the thinner oil here for the rear. So this here is going to depend on this one. Tune this one first, then work the rear. Because if you start working the rear, you may run the risk of going too thick and then just kicking this out, or going too thin and then this tire unloads. And if you go too thin and this tire unloads, to be honest, it's probably because this one's too thin. Now the front, you generally want to go thicker. Thicker is better. The front should generally be thicker than the rear. So that's something that you want to see. So when you steer, right, if you start trying to steer out of the corner and it just oversteers, or won't steer, you need thicker oil here. Or say you take the turn and then this one just unloads, so you just lose speed, the car sort of gets stuck, and maybe you oversteer. You want to go thicker oil. So generally you're going to want to go with a thicker oil in the front differential, unless you have a spool. So generally thicker oil. So rule of thumb, thicker oil in the front. Again, it really depends on heavier vehicles. I mean, 80,000 could work. You can start with that and then start going up. If you're doing on-road, spool or 1 million oil works great for the front. And then center, again, depending on your application, if it's smooth, just go super thick, or go with the spool, just lock it. If it's really bumpy and there's a lot of power transfer, then you may want to go with maybe 50,000 here, so don't go too thick. If it's something a little smaller, maybe like a 10 scale buggy and you're doing dirt, you're probably going to want to go with maybe 40,000 here. SET 410.3, that's pretty heavy. That's about 3 kilos. Probably want to go 80,000, 50 to 80 possibly. Maybe even more. So you're going to have to play around with them. And again, it's all going to depend on what it does. If just the front generally comes off, so once you've looked at your suspension, if it's the front that generally comes off and that's what's causing you to lose control or not steer or not be able to power out of a corner, go thicker in the front. If the rear, now this is assuming four-wheel drive vehicles, if the rear inner is generally the one that comes off the ground, then you're going to want to go thicker on the center differential, because this is the one that's going to unload. So if you go thicker on the center differential, this one will stop unloading. If you go thicker on the front, this one will stop unloading. And the reason why this one will stop unloading is because these two wheels are going to pull you. Now, really quick, in order to stop this one from unloading, the reason why you go thicker here, so we're looking at this one, you want to go thicker here. You do not want to go thicker on the center. So if this one lifts up, if you leave this one light and you go thicker here, what's going to happen is there's going to be a more equivalent power balance between the front and the rear, which means that now you're going to have more traction in the rear. Well, this tire's unloading, which means this one's not going to get much power because it's losing all its power to this one, which means that now the two rears are going to have more power than this one, so you're going to slide out and you're going to kick out. So again, if the front tire is losing traction, go with thicker oil in the front, or even a spool. If the rear tire is lifting off and losing traction, you want to go thicker, or maybe even a spool, in the center differential. If both of the tires are lifting off, slow down first, but you generally want to go thicker in the front and then thicker in the center. You can start off by the front and see if this tire pulls. And then go a little thicker on the center. And the reason why is if both of these are lifting off, both of these will want to unload. So if this is thick, this one can unload everything. So that's why you go slightly thicker on this one too, so that this one and that one cannot unload much. And that's generally what you're going to end up doing. So long story short, four-wheel drive vehicles, you're generally going to be running thin rear oil. You can go pretty thin on those. Thicker center, thicker front. On a two-wheel drive vehicle, you want oil that is thick enough so that the inner tire doesn't completely unload and the other tire can still carry power and keep speed. But you do not want too thick of an oil to where you're just going to be sliding out and drifting. So these are the basics for differentials and oils, how they work, the effect of one versus the other. I hope this is useful. Please make sure to comment. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.
What? Oh, my hair! My tongue! My rod!